The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Mark.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus went into a synagogue, and there was a man there who had a withered hand. And they were watching him to see if he would cure him on the Sabbath day, hoping for something to use against him. He said to the man with the withered hand, "Stand out in the middle." Then he said to them, "Is it against the law on the Sabbath day to do something good or to do evil, to save life or to kill?" But they said nothing. Then, grieved to find them so obstinate, he looked angrily around at them and said to them, "Stretch out your hand." And he stretched it out, and his hand was better. The Pharisees went out and at once began to plot with the Herodians against him, discussing how to destroy him. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
So, my dear brothers and sisters in Christ, we continue with the kind of the encounter between Jesus and the Pharisees and the scribes about the laws of the Sabbath, and asking Jesus the questions. Why are you doing this? Why are you behaving like this? Why is your attitude in this way against the law? And today we come to the peak of this, and they completely miss the point. And Jesus wants them to get that. And that is why the gospel starts with, they wanted to see what he's going to do. And what did Jesus do? He brought this man right in front of everybody. He did not just cure him at the corner. He brought the man in front of everybody, in the center of everybody, to make them get the point. And what was the point? He told them, is it lawful to do good on the Sabbath or to do evil? To kill or to give life? Now, see, the irony of all this is that Jesus on a Sabbath breaks the law by curing somebody. Okay? He breaks the law by curing somebody. And the Pharisees, they keep the law of the Sabbath, but are plotting to kill Jesus. They are plotting to kill Jesus. So who is keeping the law? The one who gives life, or the one who is plotting to kill? And this is what Jesus tells them. What is lawful to do good or to do evil? To take life or to give life? Jesus stands in the middle there, and he gives life to this person. He renews his life. But on the other hand, the people are very angry. The scribes and the Pharisees, they get very angry that he gives life to somebody. And even beyond that, they are plotting now to kill Jesus on the Sabbath. And that is the irony of all this. Because they are fighting so hard and they are ascending to God through their very deeds, through their own self-righteousness. And God is telling them, no, I am not here. I am right there with the people. And at times that becomes our attitude, that we are fighting so hard in our relationship with God. We spend a lot of time in prayer. We spend a lot of time doing in adoration, reading our scriptures and other things. But our relationship with the people around us is very terrible. We can't get to God without getting through the people. And that is why in Matthew's Gospel he says, if you bring your gifts at the altar, in chapter 5, verse 23, if you bring your gifts at the altar and you remember that you have something against your brother, there is no need for that relationship with God if you do not have a relationship with your neighbor. He says, leave your gifts at the altar, at the foot of the altar, not on the altar, at the foot of the altar. Go and be reconciled with your brother and sister. And then when that is done, Because that is actually the relationship. You cannot have a relationship with God when you don't have a good relationship with your neighbors. And it's only then that you can offer them your gifts at the altar. And John in his letter, his first letter, chapter 4, verse 20, he says, you cannot talk about love of God, the God you cannot claim to love, the God that you do not see, when you do not love the neighbors that you see every day. It's an irony. And this is exactly the points Jesus is passing across to the scribes and the Pharisees, and he's passing this point across to us at the same time, that the Sabbath is about doing good. That is really the law. There is nothing greater than love of God and love of neighbor. In Matthew's Gospel, chapter 20, from verse 39, I think, or 40, 41, he says that love of God is the first commandment, and love of neighbor, and says that the law and the prophets, they stand on this. They depend on this. This is the fulfillment of the law and the prophets. The love of God and the love of neighbor. It's nothing beyond that. So the Sabbath is really about doing good. The Sabbath and the law is about the law of love, not the law of condemnation. The law that brings life. The law that brings renewal in the life of people. And that is what it means to be a Christian. Not that we ascend into a great relationship with God and we forget about the relationship we are supposed to have with each other. After all, Matthew's Gospel, chapter 25, he says, whatever thing you do to the least of your brothers, you do that to me. He identifies the relationship we have with our brothers and our neighbors with his own relationship. My dear brothers and sisters, we have listened time and again about these questions, about why are you doing this, why are you doing this. But Jesus did everything because of love, because of the love of the people, because he came to give life. He did not come to take life away. And this is what people misunderstand. The scribes and the Pharisees do not take that, because they believe when you keep the Sabbath, they believe in self-righteousness. They believe you must do everything by yourself. You must do self-fasting and everything and ascend there to God. And every other thing doesn't matter. No, it really matters. And that's why Jesus came to show us love and says, this is the greatest of all commandments. Love one another as I have loved you.